There's something quietly captivating about a Libra. They're the ones who walk into a room and immediately change the atmosphere, not with volume, but with presence. Calm, charming, and composed, Libras carry this effortless elegance that draws people in. But beneath their graceful exterior is a deeply intuitive and emotionally complex soul. Libras are born under the sign of balance, ruled by Venus, the planet of love, beauty, and harmony. And because of that, they don't just crave peace, they live for it. Every choice they make, every conversation they enter, is filtered through a lens of fairness and emotional equilibrium. That's what makes being close to a Libra such a gift. They listen before speaking. They think before reacting. And they feel everything deeply, even when they don't show it. But here's the part most people miss: just because a Libra appears calm doesn't mean they're weak. Just because they avoid conflict doesn't mean they won't cut you off if you disturb their peace. Libras are loyal, gentle, and forgiving, to a point. But betrayal? That changes everything. It's not just a wound, it's a violation of everything they stood for in the relationship. And when you betray a Libra, you don't just lose their trust, you lose a version of them that loved you without reservation. You lose someone who truly believed in the good in you. So if you've ever underestimated the power of a Libra's silence or the weight behind their goodbye, this is your wake-up call. Today, we're diving into exactly why betraying a Libra isn't just a mistake, it's a regret that might stay with you longer than you think. 1. Libras love with depth and intention. Libras don't love halfway. When they open their hearts to you, it's not because they're looking for entertainment or temporary warmth, it's because they've seen something in you that speaks to their soul. They fall in love with the essence of who you are, not the version you show off to the world. That depth is rare, and it's deliberate. A Libra will listen closely to your silences, remember the smallest details you share, and make you feel like you're the center of a calm and gentle universe. They approach love like a delicate balance, protecting the space between two hearts with care and grace. Their affection isn't impulsive, it's a thoughtful decision made with emotional clarity. To them, love is sacred, and loyalty is the quiet promise woven into every soft glance, every compromise, every thoughtful gesture. So when you betray that kind of love, you're not just hurting someone who cared, you're disrupting a space where you were truly safe, deeply understood, and wholeheartedly accepted. A Libra doesn't just give love, they create a sanctuary for it. And once you've violated that space, there's no easy way back in. 2. They believed in you when others didn't. A Libra sees through your cracks and into your potential. They're the quiet encourager, the steady hand, the voice in the background saying, "You've got this," even when you're ready to give up on yourself. When others doubted your ability to grow, a Libra leaned in. When people gave up on you, they gave you another chance. Not because you were perfect, but because they believed in redemption, progress, and grace. This belief is more than kindness, it's rooted in their core need to bring balance and fairness into the lives of others. They see not just who you are, but who you can become, and they anchor themselves to that vision. To be believed in by a Libra is to be seen in your entirety, your faults, your flaws, your unpolished edges, and still be accepted. So when you betray them, you're not just breaking a bond, you're betraying their faith in the better version of you they were trying to protect and nurture. That kind of disappointment cuts deep. Because to a Libra, investing in someone emotionally is a serious act of trust. And when that trust is broken, it's not just about what you did, it's about everything they hoped you would be, all at once, crumbling. 3. They crave peace, not conflict. One of the most misunderstood traits of a Libra is their avoidance of drama. People assume it's because they're passive or conflict-averse, but in reality, it's because chaos feels physically uncomfortable to them. Disruption messes with their emotional rhythm. They're not afraid of hard conversations, they just prefer them to be respectful, thoughtful, and balanced. Libras crave peace the way most people crave air. They strive to create harmony in their surroundings, to make sure everyone feels seen and heard. They'll bite their tongue to keep the mood steady, they'll compromise to keep the connection flowing, and they'll hold space for both sides of an argument if it means restoring calm. But when you betray a Libra, you don't just hurt them, you disrupt their entire inner peace. It feels like emotional noise they can't quiet, a wave that knocks over the equilibrium they worked so hard to build. And while they may not yell or lash out, don't confuse their calm for acceptance. Inside, they're silently recalibrating, deciding what version of themselves they need to become to survive without you. Once you become a source of chaos, they'll distance themselves, not out of anger, but out of necessity. 4. Their forgiveness has limits. Libras are forgiving by nature. They don't like holding grudges because it disrupts their emotional balance. They genuinely want to believe that people can change, that mistakes can be corrected, that time can heal what's broken. They'll often give second chances, even third ones, because they want to preserve the connection rather than throw it away. But here's the truth most people ignore: their forgiveness has an endpoint. You may not see the shift coming because they're rarely dramatic about it. But when a Libra reaches their emotional limit, it's final. There's no dramatic explosion or public fallout, just a slow retreat, a quiet disconnection, a decision made in silence. They may still wish you well, but they'll do it from a distance. And you'll feel that distance. You'll feel the loss of someone who used to make everything feel a little more grounded. Betraying a Libra too many times doesn't just erode their trust, it closes the door for good. And once they stop fighting for the connection, you'll realize that they were the one holding it together in the first place. 5. They don't miss a thing. Libras may not always confront you directly, but don't let that fool you into thinking they didn't notice. They're highly observant, deeply intuitive, and naturally attuned to the energy around them. They pick up on shifts in tone, inconsistencies in your words, the tension behind your smile. You might think you've gotten away with something, but the truth is, they already clocked it. They were just waiting to see if you'd be honest about it. Libras often stay quiet because they want to give you the space to do the right thing on your own. They'd rather watch your actions than interrogate your intentions. But when the betrayal is confirmed, their entire mental ledger updates. They don't forget the lies, the excuses, or the subtle forms of disrespect. They log every red flag you thought they ignored. And when they finally act on what they've observed, it's not reactive, it's calculated, composed, and complete. You won't see the moment they decide you're no longer safe, but you'll feel it when they slowly start disappearing. And by the time you realize they've pulled away, they've already decided you no longer deserve their presence. 6. Their graceful confrontation will shake you. When a Libra decides it's time to confront you, don't expect shouting, slammed doors, or dramatic scenes. That's not how they operate. Instead, what you'll get is a conversation so composed, so emotionally controlled, that it cuts deeper than any heated argument ever could. They'll look you in the eye with that unmistakable clarity, calmly lay out every inconsistency you thought had gone unnoticed, and speak their truth with a tone so even that it becomes impossible to argue back. Their words will be measured, precise, and unsettlingly accurate, and the absence of anger will only make their disappointment hit harder. What truly stings is their ability to make you feel seen, not just for what you've done but for the intentions behind it. There's something incredibly powerful about a person who can hold their pain without turning it into poison, someone who doesn't need to raise their voice to make a point. A Libra's confrontation is like a mirror, it reflects not only your actions but who you've become because of them. And when they've said their piece, they won't stick around to rehash it. The conversation ends with quiet finality, and you're left standing in the silence, realizing just how much damage you caused, not because they yelled, but because they didn't need to. 7. They don't chase, they elevate. Libras don't cling. They won't beg you to stay, won't chase you down when you walk away, and they certainly won't reduce themselves to convince you of their worth. When betrayed, their instinct isn't to plead, it's to rise. They may hurt deeply, but instead of getting stuck in bitterness, they channel that pain into self-renewal. It's a quiet transformation that happens in private, not for attention, not for revenge, but because they know who they are without you. While you're caught up in the noise of your own choices, they're healing, reflecting, rebuilding. And the version of themselves that emerges after betrayal is even more self-assured, more radiant, and more unreachable. Libras are ruled by Venus, and they embody that beauty not just in appearance but in self-respect. They understand that true elegance is found in walking away with their head held high. So no, they won't chase you, but they'll become someone you wish you hadn't lost. Watching them elevate while you remain exactly where you were when you hurt them is a pain all its own. Because deep down, you'll know that the distance between you is growing not because they needed to win, but because they already have. 8. They walk away with dignity. There's something haunting about the way a Libra leaves. They don't storm out. They don't burn bridges in a dramatic blaze. They simply drift. One moment they're there, filling the room with their warmth and calm, and the next, their absence becomes a quiet ache you can't shake. Libras believe in endings that don't require explosions. Their dignity doesn't allow for chaos, even when they've been deeply hurt. So when they decide they've had enough, they won't announce it. They'll just start giving less of themselves. The conversations become shorter, the laughter fades, the soft concern in their voice turns into polite distance. And then one day, you'll realize you're reaching for someone who's already gone, emotionally if not physically. It's their way of protecting their peace. They won't give you the satisfaction of a dramatic exit because they don't need to. Their absence speaks louder than words ever could. And by the time you finally feel the full weight of their goodbye, it's already too late to pull them back. That kind of graceful departure lingers. It doesn't wound, it haunts. Because deep down, you'll always wonder if you could have done something different to keep them from slipping through your hands. 9. You'll miss their calm energy. There's a kind of stillness that Libras bring into your life, a gentle emotional balance that's hard to explain but impossible to ignore once it's gone. They're not loud or overpowering, but their presence softens the air around you. When you're anxious, they calm you. When life feels out of control, they anchor you. They have a way of smoothing out your rough edges just by being near, like emotional gravity pulling you back to center. You may not have realized how much you relied on that quiet presence until you no longer had it. After betrayal, that grounding energy disappears, and the space they leave behind feels off-kilter, more chaotic than before. Without them, you'll notice the difference in the tone of your day, the way conversations feel colder, the way silence becomes heavier. Libras don't just participate in your life, they balance it. They bring a soft kind of order, a gentle emotional rhythm that makes everything else seem a little more manageable. And when they're gone, you won't just miss the person, you'll miss the peace they brought with them. A peace that's rare. A peace that doesn't come around often. A peace you'll wish you hadn't disturbed. 10. They were the voice of reason. In the moments when your emotions got the best of you, when you couldn't see past your own frustrations or fears, it was likely the Libra in your life who helped bring you back to clarity. They're wired to understand both sides of every situation, to weigh emotions with logic, to balance empathy with truth. That's why they're so often the voice of reason in the lives of those around them. They don't take sides impulsively, and they don't feed into drama. Instead, they listen, reflect, and then offer a perspective that cuts through the noise with surprising precision. You might not have always liked what they had to say, but somewhere inside, you knew it came from a place of balance and care. Losing that voice means losing your emotional compass. And when the chaos of life starts to spiral, you'll feel their absence in the worst way, not because they were always right, but because they helped you find your own truth. Their wisdom wasn't loud or self-righteous, it was patient and intuitive. And once you've betrayed their trust, that guidance disappears. And what's left in its place is a silence that doesn't just echo, it confuses. 11. They supported you in silence. Libras are not loud cheerleaders. They won't always announce their support or seek praise for being by your side, but their loyalty is unwavering, and their encouragement runs deep. They are the ones quietly holding you up when you don't even realize you're falling. Whether it's staying up late to talk you through something you're afraid to say aloud or simply being there without demanding anything in return, their support is consistent and subtle. They understand your emotional rhythms even when you don't articulate them. They listen between the words. They sense your fear, your self-doubt, your unspoken needs, and they show up for you in 1,000 small, unseen ways. That's the kind of care most people overlook until it's gone. When you betray a Libra, you're not just losing a partner or a friend, you're losing a quiet foundation you didn't know was holding you steady. And the silence they leave behind is louder than anything they ever said, because you'll start to realize how much lighter everything felt when they were quietly carrying some of your weight. You'll miss the presence that didn't demand recognition but was always there, offering balance, faith, and warmth in the background of your chaos. 12. They'll move on with grace and glow. A Libra doesn't collapse after being betrayed, they transform. While the hurt might shake them, it never breaks them. They retreat, yes, but not to wallow. They step back to recalibrate, to reclaim their power, and to remember who they were before someone mishandled their heart. You won't see them posting emotional outbursts or seeking sympathy. Instead, they'll begin to glow in ways that are subtle but undeniable. They'll surround themselves with beauty, with people who see them clearly, and with experiences that remind them how much life there is beyond your betrayal. There's a natural elegance to the way they move on. It doesn't look forced. It doesn't feel like revenge. It feels like renewal. They start laughing a little freer, smiling a little softer, and shining a little brighter, not because they want to make you jealous, but because they've returned to themselves. And nothing is more radiant than a Libra who has remembered their worth. You'll watch from a distance, realizing that the person you hurt is now out of reach, and flourishing. And that ache you feel? That's the sting of watching someone become more whole without you in the picture. 13. The universe has their back. There's a quiet power in the way Libras move through the world, and it often feels like the universe moves with them. Maybe it's their connection to Venus, or maybe it's their deep commitment to fairness and love, but when they're wronged, life tends to step in with its own kind of justice. It's not about karma in the dramatic sense, it's more subtle than that. It's the way opportunities start opening for them right after they've been mistreated. It's the way people start showing up for them, the way doors open just as others close. Libras don't usually seek revenge, they let go, trust the flow of things, and keep walking. But what makes it sting for those who betray them is watching everything begin to work in their favor. While you're dealing with the consequences of your actions, they're stepping into better friendships, healthier relationships, and brighter futures. The universe tends to protect gentle hearts, and a Libra's is one of the most generous there is. So while you may feel like you walked away with power in the moment, time has a way of revealing who truly won. And the peace they find in your absence. That's the universe returning what you tried to take. 14. You'll regret not valuing their fairness. One of the most extraordinary traits a Libra brings into any relationship is their deep sense of fairness. They don't operate out of ego or self-interest, they genuinely want things to feel balanced and mutual. They're constantly checking in to make sure you feel heard, respected, and valued, and they expect the same in return. They'll let you speak your mind, even when they disagree. They'll make sacrifices when necessary, compromise when it helps the greater good, and advocate for both sides of a disagreement because they believe that's what love should be. But fairness, for a Libra, is more than a principle, it's an act of love. So when you treat their fairness like a weakness, when you take advantage of their willingness to bend without ever meeting them halfway, that damage adds up. You may not have noticed it at the time, but looking back, you'll start to see how many times they gave more than they got. And the regret won't just come from losing them, it will come from realizing they were always trying to create a world where you both could thrive, and you couldn't see it. Fairness is rare. And once you've lost someone who gave it so freely, everything else starts to feel off balance. 15. You took advantage of their softness. Libras lead with gentleness. They're not the type to push, to demand, or to control. Instead, they approach the people they care about with softness, a warmth that feels safe, welcoming, and kind. But in a world that often rewards dominance, that kind of softness is too easily mistaken for weakness. You may not have even realized you were taking advantage of it at the time. Maybe you assumed they'd always forgive, that they'd always stay, that they'd never draw the line. Maybe you thought their kindness meant they didn't notice or that they didn't mind. But they did. They always do. The problem is, Libras don't usually explode. They endure. They absorb the tension. They try to make it work. Until one day, they don't. By the time they leave, they've already processed every moment you took their softness for granted. And it's not just the betrayal that hurts, it's the realization that someone saw their light and chose to dim it instead of protecting it. Once they're gone, you'll miss the tenderness they gave so freely, the way they made you feel held, heard, and healed, just by being themselves. And what you'll carry isn't just guilt, it's the knowledge that they would have stayed if you'd simply treated their softness as the strength it truly was. 16. You'll struggle to find that energy again. There's something uniquely comforting about the emotional energy of a Libra. It's not loud or overwhelming, it's subtle, steady, and grounding, like a quiet rhythm that keeps your chaos in check. They have this almost magical ability to create emotional balance wherever they go, adjusting themselves to match your moods, to meet you where you are, to hold a space that feels safe even when everything around you feels unsteady. You may have taken it for granted while it was there, assuming that kind of stability could be found anywhere. But after they're gone, you'll start to notice the difference in the way other people show up. The connections feel more surface level, the interactions less intentional. You'll search for that same emotional warmth in others, the kind that doesn't need to be loud to be felt, the kind that makes you feel like you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you'll struggle. Because Libra energy is rare. It's not easily replaced, and it's certainly not something you stumble upon twice. Their presence isn't just comforting, it's calibrating. And once you've experienced that kind of emotional alignment, the absence of it will make everything else feel just slightly off. And that's when the regret settles in, not for the moment you betrayed them, but for the countless moments after, when you realize no one else brings the same lightness to your world. 17. They'll never see you the same again. Even if you apologize, even if you try to make things right, even if they forgive you with grace and warmth, something will have shifted forever in the way a Libra sees you. They may not say it. They may even continue to be kind, to smile when they see you, to speak of you without bitterness. But behind their eyes, the narrative has changed. The version of you they once held, the one they trusted, admired, and quietly rooted for, has been altered. Libras don't hold on to resentment, but they remember the lesson. They remember how it felt to be caught off guard by someone they gave their heart to have their balance thrown off by someone they thought would protect it. And because they love so deeply, that break in perception is profound. It's not about punishment, it's about self-preservation. Their heart won't open the same way again, not to you. They'll pull back emotionally, not in a cruel way, but in a quiet, permanent one. You'll feel it in their hesitation, in the way they no longer offer you their full, unfiltered self. And you'll know, deep down, that the most painful part of betraying a Libra isn't just that you lost them, it's that even if you're still in their life, the part of them that once looked at you with complete trust is gone for good. 18. The love they gave you. Unmatched. Loving a Libra is like being wrapped in soft light. It's calm, intuitive, and emotionally intelligent. They anticipate your needs before you even know how to name them. They speak with warmth, touch with intention, and listen like your words matter. Their love is not just romantic, it's healing. They pour themselves into the people they care about, quietly making sacrifices, gently managing moods, showing up in small, consistent ways that slowly build a sense of security you didn't even know you were missing. You may not have realized how deeply they were loving you, because Libras don't always shout it. They show it in the little details, in remembering your favorite things, in reading your silences, in the way they make sure the energy feels safe when you walk into the room. That kind of love isn't dramatic or flashy. It's stable, thoughtful, and incredibly rare. And if you've betrayed that, you'll realize eventually that what they gave you wasn't ordinary. It wasn't replaceable. It was a kind of emotional sanctuary. And when you go looking for it again, when you search for that same steady, intentional affection in other people, you'll come to understand just how unmatched a Libra's love really was, and how foolish it was to ever lose it. In the end, what you'll remember most about the Libra you betrayed isn't the confrontation, the aftermath, or even the loss itself. It's the silence. The quiet retreat. The calm way they began to disappear without a scene. And it's in that stillness that you'll start to understand their strength. Libras don't fight for attention, and they won't beg to be valued. They'll simply remove themselves from spaces where their presence is no longer honored. That's not weakness, it's wisdom. It's self-respect. It's the final act of love they give themselves after someone they trusted breaks the bond. You might tell yourself it wasn't that serious, that maybe they'll come back, that maybe the door isn't fully closed. But deep down, you'll feel it, that shift, that weight, that haunting sense that the best version of the relationship is behind you now. So if you've been loved by a Libra, truly loved, count yourself lucky. Because not everyone gets to experience that kind of grace. And if you've lost that love because of your own choices, then this isn't just a reflection, it's a reckoning. Their silence isn't an empty void. It's a message. And if you listen closely, you'll hear exactly what it says: I deserved better. And now, I'm giving that to myself.